The pancake flipped in midair, and Adrian's world stopped. Standing in his kitchen at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, teaching his 7-year-old daughter Emma how to cook, was Victoria Lane, the woman who shattered him 12 years ago. Except she wasn't that girl anymore. Designer clothes, confidence that filled the room, a billionaire CEO who could buy his entire neighborhood without checking her bank account. And she was smiling at his daughter like she belonged there, like the years hadn't happened, like she hadn't chosen ambition over him. But here's the thing about second chances. They never come without a price. Before we dive into this story, do me a favor. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin. Adrian Hale woke up the same way he had for the past 6 years, to the sound of his daughter's feet padding down the hallway at exactly 6:47 a.m. Emma was nothing if not consistent. Alarm clock broken? Didn't matter. She'd still appear in his doorway at 6:47, wild brown hair sticking up in 12 directions, asking if they could have pancakes. "Dad, pancakes?" He groaned into his pillow. "What's wrong with cereal?" "Everything." Fair point. By 7 o'clock, he was standing at the stove in sweatpants and an old college t-shirt with a hole near the collar, mixing batter while Emma sat on the counter, despite his repeated warnings that counters were not chairs. The morning light came through the kitchen window at an angle that made everything look softer than it was. Their house was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that barely fit a table. But it was theirs. He'd bought it 4 years ago with money he definitely didn't have, and he was still paying for that decision. "You're doing it wrong," Emma announced. "I'm following the box." The box is lying. She was 7. 7-year-olds shouldn't have opinions about pancake methodology, but Emma had opinions about everything. She got that from her mother. Adrian tried not to think about that too much. He poured batter into the pan and immediately realized he'd used too much. The pancake spread like a small continent. Emma laughed, the kind of laugh that made his chest hurt in a good way. "See? Wrong. It'll taste the same." "Yeah, but it looks sad." The doorbell rang. Adrian frowned. Nobody came by at 7 a.m. Nobody came by at any time, really. He wasn't the type to have people over. His social life consisted of Emma's school functions and the occasional beer with his coworker Dave, who talked too much about fantasy football. "Stay here," he told Emma. "I'm not 5. You're 7, which is close enough." He walked to the front door, spatula still in hand because he'd forgotten he was holding it. Through the frosted glass panel, he could see a figure, tall, slim, probably female. Maybe a delivery person? He opened the door, and time just stopped. Victoria Lane stood on his porch. Not a memory of her, not a dream version. Actually her, real. Breathing, looking at him with those same green eyes that used to undo him, except now they were sharper, more certain. She wore a cream-colored coat that probably cost more than his car, and her dark hair was pulled back in a way that suggested she had people who did that for her. "Adrian." His name in her mouth after 12 years felt like a door he'd locked suddenly swinging open. What?" "Smooth, real smooth." "I know this is unexpected," she said, and her voice was the same but different, controlled, measured. The Victoria he'd known was messy and impulsive and laughed too loud at bad jokes. This version looked like she scheduled her emotions. "Can I come in?" "I don't... How did you... You're burning something." "Shit. The pancake." He turned and ran back to the kitchen, leaving the door open because his brain had apparently stopped working. The pancake was smoking. He flipped it with more force than necessary, and it landed half on the pan, half on the stove. Emma stared at him. "Who's at the door?" "Nobody. Somebody. Victoria appeared in the kitchen doorway. Emma's eyes went wide. "Whoa." "Hi," Victoria said, and something in her expression softened when she looked at Emma. "You must be Emma." "How do you know my name?" Good question. Adrian would also like to know the answer to that question, along with about 40 other questions currently short-circuiting his brain. "I'm an old friend of your dad's," Victoria said. "He doesn't have friends." "Emma." "What? You don't? Except Dave, and he's boring." Victoria smiled, and for a second, just a second, Adrian saw the girl he'd known, the one who smiled with her whole face. Then it was gone, replaced by this polished version he didn't recognize. I like your pajamas, Victoria told Emma. Are those dinosaurs? Velociraptors, they're different. My mistake. Adrian finally found his voice. What are you doing here? Can we talk? Alone? Emma crossed her arms. I'm not leaving. This is my kitchen too. Under different circumstances, Adrian would have been proud of her standing her ground. Right now, he needed her anywhere but here. 5 minutes, he told Victoria. That's all you get. Dad! Emma, please. Something in his tone must have registered because Emma slid off the counter with exaggerated slowness and walked out, pausing in the doorway to give Victoria a look that could only be described as suspicious. The kid was too smart for her own good. Once they were alone, Adrian leaned against the counter and waited. Victoria stood near the table, not quite sitting, not quite standing. Like she wasn't sure what the protocol was for showing up at your ex-boyfriend's house 12 years after destroying him. You look good, she said. Don't. Don't what? Whatever this is, just tell me why you're here. She took a breath. I'm in town for work. I'm opening a regional office here, and I'll be staying for a few months to oversee the setup. I wanted to see you before you heard about it from someone else. Why would I hear about it? Because it's going to be in the news. My company is a big deal now. Right. He'd heard something about that. Victoria Lane, CEO of some tech empire he didn't fully understand. He'd seen an article once, 2 years ago, and immediately closed the browser because seeing her face hurt too much. So you're… what? Being polite? Warning me you'll be around? I wanted to see you. You saw me. Great. You can leave now. Adrian, no. He put the spatula down harder than necessary. You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up after 12 years and act like we're old friends catching up. You left. You made that choice. And I'm fine with it. I moved on. So whatever this is, I don't need it. That was a lie. He wasn't fine. He'd spent years convincing himself he was fine, building a life that looked fine from the outside. But seeing her here, in his kitchen, made it very clear that he'd just gotten better at pretending. Victoria's jaw tightened. I know I hurt you. Hurt me? You didn't hurt me. You eviscerated me. There's a difference. I was 20 years old, and I was 22. We were both young, but I was ready to build something with you, and you decided you'd rather build a corporation instead. That's not fair. Life's not fair. That's kind of the whole thing. Emma's voice drifted from the living room. Are you done fighting yet? The pancakes are getting cold. Victoria looked toward the doorway. She's wonderful. Don't. I'm just saying, I know what you're doing. Don't. I'm not doing anything. You're trying to connect over my kid. It's not going to work. Victoria met his eyes, and for a moment he saw something crack in her composure. I'm not trying to do anything except apologize. I handled things badly back then. I know that, and I'm sorry. Sorry. Such a small word for such a big wreckage. Apology noted, he said. You can go now. Dad? Emma appeared in the doorway again. Can the fancy lady stay for breakfast? She looks hungry. She's not hungry. She's leaving. Actually, Victoria said, I'm a little hungry. Adrian stared at her. Are you serious right now? Your daughter invited me. It would be rude to say no. Emma grinned like she'd just won something. This was a bad idea. A terrible idea. The worst idea in the history of ideas. But Emma was looking at him with those big brown eyes. And Victoria was standing there in her expensive coat looking somehow vulnerable and untouchable at the same time. And his brain just gave up. Fine. One breakfast, then you leave. Deal. Emma cheered and immediately started pulling out plates. Adrian returned to the stove, dumped the burnt pancake in the trash, and started a new one. He could feel Victoria's presence behind him like a physical weight. She'd taken off her coat and was sitting at the table now, looking completely out of place in her designer blouse and his kitchen chairs that didn't match. So, Emma said, settling into interrogation mode, how do you know my dad? We met in college, Victoria said. Were you friends? Something like that. Were you his girlfriend? Adrian flipped the pancake with more force than necessary. Emma, that's not… Yes, Victoria said. I was. Emma's eyes went wide. Dad had a girlfriend? Hard to believe, I know, Victoria said, and there was a hint of warmth in her voice that made Adrian's chest tighten. What happened? We wanted different things. Like what? Emma. Adrian turned around. Enough questions. I'm just curious. Be curious quietly. Emma made a face but stopped talking. Adrian finished the pancake, a normal, non-continental one this time, and slid it onto a plate. Then another. Then another. 3 pancakes, 1 breakfast. Then Victoria would leave, and he could go back to his quiet life where the past stayed in the past where it belonged. Except the past was currently sitting at his kitchen table, and Emma was watching her like she'd discovered a new species. They ate in weird, stilted silence. Emma kept sneaking glances at Victoria. Victoria kept sneaking glances at him. Adrian kept his eyes on his plate and tried to remember how to breathe normally. These are really good, Victoria said. They're from a box. Still good. Emma kicked her feet under the table. Can you teach me how to flip them? Dad's bad at it. I'm not bad at it. You are, though. Victoria laughed, and the sound hit him like a punch. He'd forgotten that laugh, how it used to make him feel like the funniest person alive. I could show you, Victoria offered. No, Adrian said immediately. Why not? Because you're leaving after breakfast, remember? It'll take 5 minutes. Dad, please? He should say no. He should absolutely say no. But Emma was looking at him with that expression that meant she'd remember this moment forever if he denied her, and Victoria was waiting with something like hope in her eyes, and he was apparently incapable of making good decisions where either of them was concerned. Fine. 5 minutes. That's how he ended up standing to the side while Victoria and Emma crowded around the stove. Victoria had rolled up her sleeves, revealing expensive jewelry that probably cost more than his mortgage. Emma was on her step stool, watching with laser focus as Victoria poured batter into the pan. The key is the wrist, Victoria explained. You don't muscle it. You just let it happen. She demonstrated, and the pancake flipped perfectly, landing exactly where it was supposed to. Emma tried next, and hers went sideways but still landed in the pan. She squealed with delight. Again! They made 4 more pancakes together. Victoria was patient in a way that surprised him. The version of her he'd known was always rushing, always moving on to the next thing. This Victoria stood still, focused, like Emma was the only thing that mattered. It made something ache in his chest. When they finished, Emma hugged Victoria's leg without warning. You're way better at this than Dad. Your dad's doing just fine, Victoria said softly. Can you come back tomorrow? Emma, I'm just asking. Victoria looked at Adrian. He shook his head slightly. She turned back to Emma. I'm pretty busy with work, she said, but maybe sometime. Promise? I don't make promises I can't keep. Smart answer. Adrian hated how much he respected that. Emma ran off to get dressed for school, leaving them alone again. Victoria washed her hands at the sink, taking her time. Adrian started clearing plates, trying to figure out how to end this without it getting weird. Too late for that. She's really special, Victoria said. I know. You've done a good job. I didn't do it for a performance review. I'm just saying, Pitts, I know what you're saying, and I appreciate it. But she's not a topic for us. Victoria dried her hands on a towel. What is a topic for us? Nothing. There is no us. There was once. Yeah, well, once doesn't count for much. She turned to face him, leaning against the counter. Do you ever think about it? About what might have happened if I'd stayed? No. Another lie. He thought about it constantly. Every major decision he made, every quiet moment, every time Emma asked about her mom and he had to figure out how to explain that some people just leave. He thought about Victoria and the life they could have had and all the ways it would have been different. But thinking about it and talking about it were 2 different things. I think about it, Victoria said quietly. More than I should. That sounds like a you problem. Adrian, what do you want from me? Absolution? You already apologized. I heard it. We're good. We're not good. We're barely civil. Then let's skip civil and go straight to strangers. It's easier. I don't want to be strangers. What do you want to be? She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. That's what I thought, Adrian said. Emma came back wearing her school uniform and carrying her backpack. Ready. Adrian checked the clock. 7:48. They had 12 minutes before they needed to leave. Normally, he'd use that time to check homework or pack lunch, or do any of the 100 small things single parenting required. Instead, he was standing in his kitchen with the woman who broke his heart while she looked at his daughter like she wanted to memorize her face. "I should go," Victoria said, grabbing her coat. Emma's face fell. "Already? I have meetings, boring adult stuff." "Will you come back?" Victoria glanced at Adrian. He gave her nothing. "We'll see," she said, which was the most honest answer available. She headed for the door. Adrian followed, mostly to make sure she actually left. On the porch, she paused. "I meant what I said. About being sorry." "Okay." "That's it?" "Okay." "What else do you want?" "I don't know. Something." "I don't have something to give you, Victoria. I have a kid to raise and a job to get to and a life that works because it's simple. You showing up complicates that." "Life's supposed to be complicated," says the billionaire CEO. "Money doesn't make things less complicated. It just makes them expensive." Despite himself, he almost smiled. Almost. "Goodbye, Victoria." She looked like she wanted to say more. Instead, she nodded and walked to her car, a sleek black thing that probably drove itself. He watched her go, then went inside and tried to pretend the last hour hadn't happened. Emma was putting on her shoes. "She was nice," Emma said. "Uh-huh." "Why don't you like her?" "I didn't say I don't like her. You acted like it." "That's just how adults are sometimes." "That's a dumb answer." "Yeah, well, get used to dumb answers. That's parenting." They walked to school in silence. Emma held his hand, which she'd been doing less lately because 7 was apparently the age where hand-holding became uncool, but today she held on tight, and Adrian wondered what she was thinking. If she could sense the shift in the air, if she understood that sometimes the past doesn't stay buried. At the school gate, she hugged him. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, kiddo." She ran off to join her friends, and Adrian stood there longer than necessary, watching her go. Then he walked to work because his car was in the shop and he couldn't afford the repairs yet. The walk took 30 minutes. He spent all 30 thinking about Victoria. 10. His job was simple. He managed inventory for a mid-sized electronics distributor. It wasn't glamorous. It didn't change the world. But it was steady. And steady mattered when you had a kid counting on you. His coworker Dave was already at his desk, eating a breakfast burrito that smelled like regret. "You look weird," Dave said. "Good morning to you too." "I'm serious. You look like you saw a ghost." "Close enough." Adrian sat down and booted up his computer. He had spreadsheets to update, orders to process, and absolutely no mental capacity for any of it because his brain was still stuck in his kitchen with Victoria. "Woman trouble?" Dave asked. "I don't have woman trouble. I don't have women." "Exactly. That's the trouble." "How's your fantasy team doing?" "Don't change the subject." "I'm not changing anything. I'm trying to work." Dave took an aggressive bite of his burrito. "You know what your problem is?" "I'm sure you're about to tell me." "You're too closed off. You need to put yourself out there. Meet people. Join a dating app." "I have a 7-year-old daughter and 0 free time. When exactly am I supposed to date?" "People make time for what matters. Emma matters." "I'm not saying she doesn't. I'm saying you matter too." Adrian stared at his screen. "I'm fine." "You're existing. That's not the same as fine." He didn't have an answer for that. The day crawled by. Every time his phone buzzed, he checked it, which was stupid because who would be texting him? Emma's school had his number for emergencies. Dave texted him memes occasionally. That was it. But he kept checking anyway, like some part of him expected Victoria to reach out. She didn't. At 3:15, he left to pick up Emma. At 3:30, they were walking home, and Emma was talking about her day. Something about a boy named Marcus, who ate glue and a spelling test she definitely failed. Adrian listened with half his brain while the other half circled back to this morning. "Dad, are you listening?" "Yeah, Marcus ate glue." "That was 5 minutes ago. I'm talking about art class now." "Right, art class. What about it?" She sighed dramatically. "Never mind." At home, he made dinner, spaghetti, because that's what he made every Tuesday. Routine was important, structure, predictability. These were the things that kept life manageable. After dinner, Emma did homework at the kitchen table while he cleaned up. Then they watched half an episode of some cartoon she loved, and he got her into bed by 8:30, which was a minor miracle. Story? She asked. Short one. It's late. He made up a story about a dragon who was afraid of heights, which didn't make much sense, but Emma laughed, so mission accomplished. When he finished, she was already half asleep. Dad? Yeah? Do you think she'll come back? The fancy lady? His chest tightened. I don't know. I hope she does. She was nice. Go to sleep, Em. Okay. Love you. Love you too. He turned off the light and stood in the doorway for a moment, watching her breathe. Then he went to the living room and sat on the couch in the dark, because turning on the TV felt like too much effort. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then curiosity won. Hello? It's me. Victoria, he should hang up. He should absolutely hang up. How'd you get my number? I have resources. That's not creepy at all. I know showing up this morning was a lot. I'm sorry. You already apologized. I'm apologizing again. Silence. Say something, she said. What do you want me to say? I don't know, anything. Tell me I'm out of line. Tell me to leave you alone. Just talk to me. Why? Because I've spent 12 years wondering if I made the biggest mistake of my life, and seeing you today didn't answer that question. It just made it louder. Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You want honesty? Yes. Seeing you today wrecked me. I spent 6 years building a life that works. It's not exciting. It's not impressive. But it's mine, and it's stable, and Emma's happy. And then you show up looking like you walked out of a magazine, and suddenly I'm 22 again, feeling like I'm not enough. So yeah, you being here complicates things, and I don't need complications. I'm not trying to make you feel like you're not enough. You don't have to try. You just do. More silence. I should go, she said finally. Yeah, you should. Adrian, he hung up, then immediately regretted it, then called himself an idiot, then threw his phone on the couch and went to bed, where he didn't sleep at all because his brain wouldn't shut up. The next morning started the same. Emma at 6:47, pancakes, school, work, routine. Except this time, when he opened the front door at 7:15 to leave, there was a box on the porch. Expensive-looking box? No label. He brought it inside, opened it. Inside was a waffle maker, top of the line, the kind with digital controls and 17 settings, and a note. For when pancakes get boring. B. Emma appeared behind him. What's that? Nothing. Is it from the fancy lady? Maybe. Can we use it? I don't know. Why not? Good question. He didn't have a good answer. That night they made waffles. They were perfect. The waffle maker sat on the counter for 3 days before Adrian actually plugged it in. Emma asked about it every morning, and every morning he had a different excuse. Too busy. Need to read the manual first, maybe later. The truth was simpler and more pathetic. He didn't want to accept the gift because accepting it meant acknowledging that Victoria was still thinking about them, about him. But on Saturday morning, Emma wore him down. Please? Just once? It's just a waffle maker, Em. It's not that exciting. You're just saying that because you're scared of it. I'm not scared of a kitchen appliance. Then prove it. So he made waffles. And they were, objectively speaking, incredible. Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, better than anything he'd ever made with the pancake box mix. Emma ate 3 of them and declared it the best breakfast of her life, which felt like a betrayal of his pancake legacy, but whatever. His phone buzzed while he was cleaning up. How are the waffles? Victoria. Of course. He stared at the message for a full minute before responding. Fine. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Just fine? Emma likes them. And you? He put the phone down, picked it back up, put it down again. This was ridiculous. He was 32 years old, not some teenager agonizing over text messages. But his fingers hovered over the keyboard anyway, because some part of him, the stupid, self-destructive part, wanted to keep talking to her. They're good. Thank you. You're welcome. That should have been the end of it. Normal people would have left it there. But Adrian had never been good at normal where Victoria was concerned. Why are you doing this? Doing what? The gifts, the texts, all of it. The dots took longer this time. I told you. I wanted to see you. You saw me. Mission accomplished. I meant I wanted to be part of your life again. He almost dropped the phone. That's not possible. Why not? Because you're you and I'm me, and 12 years happened, so we pretend we were never anything to each other? We were something, past tense. That's the whole point. What if I don't want it to be past tense? Adrian set the phone on the counter and walked away. Walked to the living room. Walked back. Emma was in her room playing, oblivious to the fact that her father was currently having a minor breakdown over breakfast appliances and text messages. He picked up the phone again. I have a kid. A life. Responsibilities. I can't just pick up where we left off like nothing happened. I'm not asking you to pick up where we left off. I'm asking if we can start something new. Why? Because I miss you. 3 words. That's all it took to crack something open in his chest that he'd spent years sealing shut. He didn't respond. Couldn't. Instead, he shoved the phone in his pocket and went to check on Emma, who had somehow managed to build an entire city out of cardboard boxes and was now narrating a complex political drama between the mayor and the fire department. Dad, do fire departments have mayors? No. Then who's in charge? Fire chief, I think. That's a dumb title. Take it up with the fire department. She went back to her boxes, and Adrian sat on the floor next to her, pretending to be invested in cardboard politics while his phone burned a hole in his pocket. That night, after Emma was in bed, he opened his laptop for the first time in weeks, typed Victoria's name into the search bar. Immediately regretted it. The results were overwhelming. Articles, interviews, features in magazines he'd never heard of. Photos of her at galas and conferences, always looking perfect, always surrounded by people who looked important. She'd built an empire, an actual, literal empire. Her company specialized in sustainable technology solutions, something about renewable energy and smart infrastructure. He didn't understand half of it, but the numbers were clear. She was worth more money than he could conceptualize. There were personal details too. Never married, no kids. A few rumors about relationships with other powerful people, but nothing confirmed. She lived in New York, traveled constantly, owned properties in 4 countries. She'd become everything she'd wanted to become. And he'd become a single dad in a 2-bedroom house who couldn't afford to fix his car. He closed the laptop. On Monday, Victoria showed up at Emma's school. Adrian didn't know about it until he arrived to pick Emma up and found her talking animatedly to a woman in an expensive suit. His brain needed a full 3 seconds to process that the woman was Victoria. "What are you doing here?" Victoria turned, and she had the decency to look slightly guilty. "I was in the neighborhood." "You don't have neighborhoods. You have zip codes that your assistant schedules." "Dad!" Emma tugged on his sleeve. "Miss Victoria says she wants to take us to dinner." "Miss Victoria needs to learn about boundaries." "It's just dinner," Victoria said. "No." "Why not?" "Because you can't just insert yourself into our lives whenever you feel like it." "I'm not inserting myself. I'm offering to buy you food." "Same thing." Emma looked between them like she was watching a tennis match. "Are you guys fighting again?" "No," they said simultaneously. "You sound like you're fighting." Victoria crouched down to Emma's level. "What if I promised to take you somewhere with really good ice cream?" Emma's eyes lit up. Adrian's resolve crumbled. "That's cheating," he muttered. "Is it working?" "Unfortunately." 20 minutes later, they were sitting in a restaurant that Adrian had walked past 100 times but never entered because it was the kind of place where appetizers cost what he spent on groceries for a week. Emma was enchanted by the menu, which had pictures and descriptions that used words like artisanal and locally sourced. "Can I get the mac and cheese?" Adrian checked the price. $18 for mac and cheese. Highway robbery. "Get whatever you want," Victoria said. "Victoria, I invited you. I'm paying. Don't argue." The waiter came by and Victoria ordered wine like she'd memorized the entire list. Adrian ordered water. Emma ordered mac and cheese and asked if it came with the fancy kind of bread. When the waiter left, Emma immediately launched into a detailed explanation of the cardboard city she'd built. including the political structure and the ongoing dispute between the mayor and the fire chief. Victoria listened with what appeared to be genuine interest, asking questions and offering suggestions for resolving the governance crisis. Adrian watched them and felt something dangerous stirring in his chest, something that looked like hope. "So what do you do?" Emma asked Victoria. "I run a company." "What kind of company?" "We make technology that helps the environment." "Like what?" "Solar panels, wind turbines, systems that help buildings use less energy." Emma considered this. "Do you make a lot of money?" "Emma," Adrian said. "What? I'm just asking. It's rude." "Why?" "Adults ask about jobs all the time." Victoria smiled. "It's okay. And yes, I make a lot of money, more than I need." "Then why do you keep working?" "Good question." Adrian would also like to know the answer. Victoria's smile faded slightly. "Because I don't know what else to do." The food arrived, and they ate in relative peace. The mac and cheese was, admittedly, incredible. Emma declared it life-changing. Adrian's salmon was perfectly cooked, which annoyed him because he didn't want to enjoy anything about this situation. "How's work?" Victoria asked him. "Fine." "That's it? Just fine?" "It pays the bills, that's enough." "Do you like it?" "Does anyone actually like inventory management?" "Some people must." "Those people are lying." She laughed, and there it was again, that pull, like gravity, like falling. "What about you?" he asked, more to deflect than anything. "You like being a CEO?" "Most days." "And the other days?" "I wonder what I'm doing with my life." Must be nice to wonder that from a penthouse. Money doesn't make the wondering easier, it just makes it more expensive. Emma had finished her mac and cheese and was now eyeing the dessert menu with predatory focus. "Can I get ice cream?" "You can get anything you want," Victoria said. Adrian shot her a look. She ignored it. Emma ordered something called a deconstructed sundae that arrived looking like a science experiment. She attacked it with enthusiasm while Adrian and Victoria sat in increasingly awkward silence. "She's really happy," Victoria said quietly. "I try." "You're doing more than trying. You're succeeding." "Most days I'm just surviving." "That's the same thing." "Is it?" She looked at him, and for a moment the restaurant disappeared. It was just them, like it used to be, before everything got complicated. "I think about that summer a lot," she said. "The one before everything fell apart." "Don't?" "Why not?" "Because it doesn't help." "Maybe I don't want it to help. Maybe I just want to remember." "Remembering is dangerous. So is forgetting." Emma interrupted by dropping her spoon, which clattered loudly against the table. The spell broke. Adrian helped her clean up while Victoria signaled for the check. Outside, the evening air was cool. Emma ran ahead to look at a street musician playing guitar on the corner. Victoria and Adrian walked slowly, maintaining careful distance. "Thank you for dinner," he said. "You're welcome." "But you can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Showing up, buying things, inserting yourself into our routine." "What if I want to be part of the routine?" "You don't get to decide that." "I know." "Then why?" "Because I'm selfish." She stopped walking. "I spent 12 years building a company, making money, checking boxes, and I'm good at it. Really good. But it turns out being good at something and being happy doing it are two different things." "So what? You're having some kind of midlife crisis and decided to revisit old relationships?" "I'm 30 years old. It's not a midlife crisis." "Quarter-life crisis, then." "Whatever. The point is you don't get to use me as some kind of nostalgia experiment." "That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" She looked at him, and her eyes were too honest, too raw. "It's me realizing I made a mistake, and wondering if it's too late to fix it." Adrian's breath caught. "Victoria, Chucky, Dad!" Emma came running back. "The guitar man knows Taylor Swift." "That's great, kiddo." "Can we listen?" "We should get home." 5 minutes?" He looked at Victoria, who shrugged. 5 minutes won't hurt." So they stood on the corner and listened to a street musician murder several Taylor Swift songs while Emma danced without any sense of rhythm or self-consciousness. Victoria watched her with something soft in her expression, and Adrian watched Victoria and tried to remember why he was supposed to be keeping his distance. When they finally left, Emma was yawning. They walked to where Victoria's car was parked, the sleek black one that definitely cost more than Adrian's annual salary. "Can Miss Victoria come over tomorrow?" Emma asked. "She's busy." "Actually," Victoria said, "I'm free." Adrian stared at her. "You're a CEO. You're not free. I make my own schedule. That's the whole point of being in charge." "Dad, please?" He was outnumbered and outmaneuvered. "Fine, but just for a little while." Emma cheered. Victoria smiled. Adrian wondered what he was doing with his life. The next day was Tuesday, Pancake Day. Except when Victoria showed up at 7 in the morning with coffee and a bag of fresh fruit, pancakes suddenly seemed boring. "I brought supplies," she announced. "For what?" "Crepes." "We don't do crepes." You do now." Emma appeared in the hallway, still in pajamas. "What's a crepe?" "A fancy pancake," Victoria said. "I like fancy things." "I've noticed." 20 minutes later, Adrian's kitchen had been transformed into what looked like a professional cooking show. Victoria had brought her own pan, her own ingredients, her own everything. She moved through his kitchen like she belonged there, which was both impressive and annoying. "You need to heat the pan first," she explained to Emma. "Not too hot, just right." "Like Goldilocks?" "Exactly like Goldilocks." They made crepes, lots of them. Some were perfect, some were disasters. Emma laughed every time one ripped or folded wrong. Victoria laughed with her. Adrian stood to the side, drinking coffee and trying not to notice how natural this felt. How right. "Dad, try one," Emma insisted. He took a bite. It was perfect. Buttery and thin and topped with fresh strawberries that probably cost a fortune. "Well?" Victoria asked. "It's fine." "Just fine?" "Okay, it's really good. Happy?" She grinned. "Very." After breakfast, Victoria helped Emma get ready for school, which somehow involved a lengthy discussion about whether dinosaurs could have survived if they'd invented umbrellas. Adrian listened from the kitchen and wondered when his life had become so surreal. At the school gate, Emma hugged Victoria goodbye like it was the most natural thing in the world. "See you tomorrow?" "Maybe," Victoria said, glancing at Adrian. "Definitely," Emma corrected. When she ran off, Adrian and Victoria stood in awkward silence. "She's getting attached," he said. "Is that bad?" "Yes, because when you leave, she'll be hurt." "What makes you think I'm leaving?" "Because you always leave. That's what you do." Victoria flinched. "I was 20 years old, Adrian. I made a choice based on what I thought I wanted. People are allowed to change their minds." "Are they? Because from where I'm standing, you're still the same person. Successful, driven, always chasing the next big thing. What happens when this stops being interesting? When being part of our boring life stops being novel?" "You think this is novelty to me?" "I don't know what this is to you." "It's terrifying," she said quietly. "That's what it is. I built a whole life without you. A good life, a successful life. And then I saw you again, and suddenly none of it feels like enough." Adrian didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. "I have a meeting," Victoria said finally. "I'll see you around." She left before he could respond. That night, Emma asked why Miss Victoria hadn't come back. "She's busy with work." "Is she mad at us?" "No, baby, she's not mad." "Are you mad at her?" "Yes, no, maybe. It's complicated." Adults always say that when they don't want to explain. That's because it's true. Emma considered this. "I like her." "I know." "Do you like her?" "Go to sleep, Em." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer you're getting." She grumbled, but eventually drifted off. Adrian sat in the living room and tried to figure out what he was doing, what he wanted, what was even possible. His phone buzzed. "I'm sorry for pushing. You're right. I need to respect your boundaries." He stared at the message. "It's not about boundaries. It's about protection." "Protecting Emma?" "Protecting both of us." "From what?" "From you." The dots appeared and disappeared several times. Then, "Fair enough." He should have felt relieved. Instead, he felt hollow. 3 days passed without contact. Adrian told himself it was for the best. He and Emma fell back into their routine. Pancakes, school, work, dinner, homework, bed. Simple, predictable, safe. Except Emma kept asking about Victoria. Where was she? When would she visit? Did she forget about them? She didn't forget, Adrian said. She's just busy. Can we call her? No. Why not? Because we can't. That's a dumb reason. Well, it's my reason, so you're stuck with it. On Friday, his car finally got fixed. The bill was exactly as catastrophic as expected, but at least he had transportation again. He picked Emma up from school, and they drove home in silence. She stared out the window with an expression that reminded him uncomfortably of himself. You okay, kiddo? I miss her. His chest tightened. I know. Why can't she come over? It's complicated. You always say that because it's always true. At home, there was another package on the porch, smaller this time. Emma grabbed it before he could stop her. It's for me! She tore it open. Inside was a book, a hardcover illustrated guide to dinosaurs, the expensive kind from museum gift shops, and a note for the future paleontologist. Keep asking questions. Emma clutched the book like treasure. Adrian felt something break in his chest. That night, after Emma was asleep, he called Victoria. She answered on the second ring. Adrian? The dinosaur book was too much. I saw it and thought of her. You can't keep doing this. I know. Then why? Because I can't help it. She paused. I see something that reminds me of Emma, or you, or both of you, and I want to be part of it. I want to matter. You matter too much. That's the problem. Silence. What do you want from me? She asked, finally. I want you to be honest about what this is, what you actually want. I want another chance. At what? At us. There it was, the truth he'd been avoiding. There is no us, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. There could be. And then what? You get bored and leave? Emma gets her heart broken? I get mine broken again? What if I don't leave? Everyone leaves eventually. Not everyone, not always. Victoria, I know I hurt you. I know I made choices that prioritized my career over us. But I've spent 12 years living with those choices, and I'm telling you right now, they were wrong. I was wrong. Adrian sat down, legs suddenly weak. You built an empire. I built a life I don't want. That's not true. It is. I love my work. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. But I come home to an empty apartment, and I eat expensive meals alone. And I attend galas where everyone wants something from me, and none of it feels like enough. And then I saw you again, and Emma, and your tiny kitchen with the mismatched chairs, and it felt like coming home. That's just nostalgia. It's not. I tested it. I stayed away for 3 days, and it didn't get better. It got worse. 3 days isn't a test. Then let me take a real one. Let me be part of your life, not as some visitor who shows up with gifts, as someone who's actually there. For how long? As long as you'll have me. Adrian closed his eyes. This is a terrible idea. Probably. Emma will get attached. She already is. So am I. The words hung in the air. Yeah? Victoria's voice was soft. Yeah. So what do we do? I have no idea. She laughed, and it sounded like relief. Want to figure it out together? This is going to be a disaster. Maybe. Or maybe it'll be exactly what we both need. Against every self-protective instinct he had, Adrian heard himself say, okay. Okay? Don't make me repeat it. I'm going to need to hear it again. Okay? Yes. We can try. But slowly and carefully. And if it starts hurting Emma, we stop. Deal. They stayed on the phone in silence for a moment. I should go, he said. Okay. Victoria? Yeah? Don't make me regret this. I won't, I promise. He hung up and sat in the dark, wondering what he'd just agreed to and whether his heart could survive another round with Victoria Lane. Saturday morning, she showed up at 8 with groceries and a plan to teach Emma how to make French toast. You're really committing to the breakfast theme, Adrian said. I'm committing to being here. And she was. Every morning that next week she appeared, sometimes with ingredients, sometimes just with coffee. Emma started expecting her, started setting an extra place at the table without being asked. Adrian watched it happen and tried not to panic. On Thursday, Victoria stayed for dinner. They made spaghetti together. Emma's job was stirring, Victoria's was sauce, Adrian's was trying not to overcook the pasta. It was chaotic and loud, and nothing like the quiet dinners he and Emma usually had. It was perfect. After Emma went to bed, Victoria and Adrian sat on the couch with the kind of careful distance that suggested they were both aware of how little space actually separated them. "Thank you for letting me do this," Victoria said. "You're good with her. She's easy to be good with." "She is, but still." They sat in silence. Adrian was hyper-aware of her presence. The way she'd tucked her legs under her, the way she'd pulled her hair into a messy knot. She looked more like the girl he'd known and less like the CEO from the magazines. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Depends on the question." "Emma's mom. What happened?" Adrian tensed. "That's not a small question. You don't have to answer. But maybe he did. Maybe she needed to understand." "Her name was Rachel," he said. "We met 2 years after you left. She was kind, steady. Everything I thought I needed. We got married fast, too fast. And then Emma happened, and Rachel just couldn't handle it. Motherhood, marriage, all of it. She left when Emma was 6 months old." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. She did us both a favor. Better to leave early than stay and resent us." "Do you ever hear from her?" "No, she signed away custody, wanted a clean break." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "That must have been hard." "It was, but Emma and I figured it out." "You did more than figure it out. You built something beautiful." He looked at her. "Why are you really here, Victoria?" "I told you what—" "No, really, what changed? Why now?" She took a breath. 6 months ago, I was in Tokyo for a conference. Late at night, walking back to my hotel, I saw this family, parents and a little girl, maybe 5 years old. They were laughing about something, just together. And I realized I couldn't remember the last time I laughed like that. The last time I felt connected to anything that wasn't a quarterly report or a board meeting. And I thought about you, about us, about what I gave up. "So you tracked me down?" "Eventually, I spent 3 months talking myself out of it first." "What changed your mind?" "I turned 30, had this ridiculous party that cost more than most people make in a year. Hundreds of people showed up. I didn't know half of them. And at the end of the night, I went home alone and realized I'd built this incredible life that nobody actually shared with me. That's not my problem to fix." "I know. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking for a chance to build something real." Adrian stood up, paced, came back. "I'm terrified," he admitted. "Me too. What if we screw this up? Then we'll screw it up together." He looked at her, really looked, saw the uncertainty beneath the confidence, the vulnerability she usually kept hidden. "One day at a time," he said. "I can do one day at a time. And if it's not working, we'll be honest about it." He nodded. She nodded. And just like that, they were doing this. 3 weeks in, Adrian realized he'd been wrong about almost everything. Wrong about Victoria not fitting into his life. She fit too well. She knew how Emma liked her sandwiches cut diagonally, not straight across. She remembered that Tuesdays were library days and Thursdays were when the good food truck parked near the school. She learned the names of Emma's friends and asked about them like she actually cared. Wrong about it being temporary. Victoria rearranged her schedule around their routine, moved meetings, declined events, showed up even when she looked exhausted from back-to-back conference calls. Wrong about protecting his heart. It was already too late for that. They hadn't kissed, hadn't even held hands. But there were moments, her shoulder brushing his while they did dishes, her laugh when Emma said something ridiculous, the way she looked at him when she thought he wasn't watching, that felt more intimate than anything physical. And it scared him senseless. "You're overthinking again," Dave said at work. "I'm not overthinking. You've been staring at that same spreadsheet for 20 minutes. Adrian clicked to a different tab. "I'm working. You're spiraling. I can tell because you get this look." "What look?" "Like you're trying to solve a math problem that doesn't have an answer." Dave rolled his chair closer. "Just tell me what's going on." "Nothing's going on." "Is it the woman from before? The ghost?" "She's not a ghost." So there is a woman. Adrian sighed. Yes, there's a woman. And? And it's complicated. Everything's complicated. That's life. Is she good to you? Yeah. Is she good to Emma? Better than good. Then what's the problem? How could he explain? That Victoria's goodness felt too perfect, too intentional, like she was trying so hard to prove something that eventually she'd burn out. That the gap between their lives, her boardrooms and his inventory spreadsheets, her international deals and his grocery store runs felt too wide to bridge permanently. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, Adrian said finally. What if there is no other shoe? There's always another shoe. Man, that's depressing. That's realism. Dave shook his head. You know what your problem is? You're so busy protecting yourself from getting hurt that you're not letting yourself be happy. That's not... It is, and you know it. Before Adrian could argue, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Mr. Hale? This is Principal Morrison from Riverside Elementary. His stomach dropped. Is Emma okay? She's fine. But there was an incident at lunch. Can you come in? 15 minutes later, he was sitting in the principal's office while Emma sulked in a chair next to him. Her lower lip was pushed out, and there was what looked like spaghetti sauce on her shirt. Emma threw food at another student, Principal Morrison explained. Emma doesn't throw food. I did today, Emma muttered. Adrian looked at her. Why? Because Marcus said mean things. What kind of mean things? Emma's eyes welled up. He said I don't have a real family because I only have a dad. He said families need a mom and a dad. Something cracked in Adrian's chest. And I told him families can be any shape, like you always say, but he kept saying it, and then I threw my spaghetti at him. Principal Morrison cleared her throat. While we understand Emma was upset, physical responses aren't appropriate. She's 7, Adrian said, fighting to keep his voice level. Some kid attacked her family structure and she defended herself. With marinara sauce, Mr. Hale. Yeah, well, at least she didn't use the meatballs. Emma snorted despite herself. They left with a warning and a note about appropriate conflict resolution. In the car, Emma was quiet. I'm sorry, she said finally. For what? For getting in trouble, for making you leave work. Hey! He pulled over. Look at me. You didn't do anything wrong. Well, okay, the throwing food part was wrong, but defending our family? That's never wrong. Marcus said, Marcus is 7 years old and doesn't know anything about anything. Our family is real. It's you and me, and that's enough. What about Miss Victoria? His hands tightened on the steering wheel. What about her? Is she part of our family now? I don't know, baby. It's complicated. You always say that. Because it always is. Do you want her to be? Did he? That was the question, wasn't it? The one he'd been avoiding for 3 weeks. Yeah, he admitted. I think I do. Then why don't you tell her? Because what if she doesn't want the same thing? Emma gave him a look that was far too knowing for a 7-year-old. She makes us breakfast every day, Dad. I think she wants the same thing. Out of the mouths of children. That night, Victoria showed up with Thai food and noticed immediately that something was off. What happened? Emma had an incident at school. What kind of incident? Emma, who'd been quiet through dinner, finally spoke up. I threw spaghetti at Marcus. Victoria's eyebrows went up. Any particular reason? He said mean things about our family. What kind of mean things? Emma repeated the story. Victoria listened without interrupting, and when Emma finished, she nodded slowly. Marcus sounds like he needs better manners. That's what I thought, Emma said, although throwing food probably wasn't the best response. Dad already gave me the lecture. Good, but for what it's worth, I probably would have thrown the spaghetti too. Emma grinned. Adrian tried not to smile. After Emma went to bed, they cleaned up in comfortable silence. Victoria washed, Adrian dried. Domestic, easy. Terrifying. She asked if you're part of our family, Adrian said. Victoria's hands stilled in the soapy water. What did you say? I said it's complicated. Is it? Isn't it? She pulled the plug and watched the water drain. I guess that depends on what you want. What do you want? I asked first. Victoria? No. I've been showing up here every day for 3 weeks. I've rearranged my entire life around your schedule. I think I've made what I want pretty clear, so now I need to know what you want. Fair. Terrifying, but fair. Adrian set down the dish towel. I want you here. I want Emma to keep setting a third place at the table. I want to stop feeling like this is temporary, then stop treating it like it's temporary. What if you change your mind? What if you do? I won't. Then why assume I will? Because you have before. There it was, the thing they'd been dancing around. Victoria turned to face him fully. I was 20 years old and terrified of ending up in a life I didn't choose. So I chose ambition because at least I could control that. But I can't control this, us. And that's exactly why I want it. That doesn't make sense. It does to me. I spent 12 years building something I could measure and manage, and I'm good at it, but it doesn't fill the spaces that matter. She stepped closer. You do. Emma does. This ridiculous tiny kitchen with the chairs that don't match does. My kitchen isn't ridiculous. It's a little ridiculous. Yeah, well, it's mine. I want it to be ours. The words hung between them. You don't mean that, Adrian said, but his voice was weak. I do. I want to be here when Emma has nightmares. I want to argue about whether the pancakes are better than the waffles. I want to meet your coworker Dave, who talks about fantasy football. I want the boring, ordinary, everyday parts of your life. For how long? As long as you'll let me. Adrian's phone rang. Both of them ignored it. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too. Well, what if we screw this up? We probably will, at some point, but we'll fix it. You sound certain. I'm not, but I'm choosing to try anyway. The phone rang again. Adrian pulled it out, ready to silence it, and saw the name on the screen. Victoria's assistant. He showed her. It's for you. Her face shifted. I should take this. She stepped outside. Adrian watched through the window as her expression changed from relaxed to tense to something he couldn't read. The call lasted less than 5 minutes. When she came back in, she looked shaken. What's wrong? That was my assistant. There's a situation with the Singapore deal. The investors are threatening to pull out if I don't fly there tomorrow to close it in person. Tomorrow? The meeting's on Saturday. If I don't go, we lose $120 million. Adrian felt something cold settle in his chest. So you have to go. I don't have to. But if I don't, 2 years of work dies and 300 people lose their jobs. That's not really a choice then. It is. I can send someone else. My COO could handle it. Could he close it? Victoria hesitated. Probably not. They want me specifically. Then you should go. Adrian, no, seriously, you should go. This is important. So is this. This will be here when you get back. She searched his face. Will it? Yeah, it will. He meant it, or he thought he did. But something in his voice must have betrayed him because Victoria stepped closer. You think I'm going to leave and not come back? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. It's written all over your face. It's $120 million, Victoria. And 300 jobs. Of course you're going to go. You should go. And you're going to resent me for it. I'm not. You are. You're already pulling away. I'm being practical. You're being scared. Same thing. It's not. She grabbed his hand. I will come back, I swear. This is a 4-day trip, maximum. I'll be back by Wednesday. Okay. Say it like you believe it. I believe it. Liar. She was right. He didn't believe it, couldn't let himself believe it, because believing it and being wrong would hurt too much. Just go, he said quietly. Do what you need to do. We'll be fine. Adrian, I mean it. We'll be fine. Victoria looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she kissed his cheek, quick, soft, loaded with everything they hadn't said, and left. The door clicked shut, and Adrian stood in his kitchen alone, wondering if he'd just made a terrible mistake. Emma appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. Where's Miss Victoria? She had to go on a trip for work. When's she coming back? A few days? Promise? She promised. Emma studied him with those two smart eyes. But you don't believe her. Go to bed, Em. You're doing it again. Doing what? The thing where you push people away because you're scared. I'm not, He stopped. How do you even know about that? I'm 7. I'm not stupid. I never said you were stupid. Then stop treating me like I can't see what's happening. Adrian sat down at the table. Emma climbed into his lap, even though she was getting too big for that. I'm scared she won't come back, he admitted. Why? Because people don't. Your mom didn't, and Victoria left before. I didn't leave. You're 7. You can't leave. I could if I wanted to, but I don't, because I love you. She patted his face. Miss Victoria loves you too, I can tell. How can you tell? Because she looks at you the same way you look at her when you think nobody's watching. When do I look at her? All the time. It's gross. Despite everything, Adrian laughed. Thanks, kiddo. You're welcome. Now, can I go back to bed? This was a lot of feelings for one night. He carried her to her room and tucked her in. By the time he got back to the kitchen, his phone had 3 missed calls from Victoria and 2 text messages. I know you're spiraling. Please don't. I'm coming back. I promise. He wanted to believe her, wanted it so badly it hurt, but he'd learned the hard way that wanting something didn't make it true. The next morning, Victoria texted that she was at the airport, then that she'd landed in Singapore, then nothing for 12 hours because of the time difference and meetings. Adrian told himself it was fine. He went to work, picked up Emma, made dinner, did homework. The routine continued without Victoria, which somehow made everything feel wrong. Emma asked about her constantly. Has she texted? She's busy. But did she text? Yes. What did she say? That the meetings are going well. When's she coming home? Home. Emma had said home, not coming back. Coming home. A few more days. That's forever. It's not forever. Feels like forever. It did. It really did. By Sunday, Adrian had convinced himself Victoria wasn't coming back, not because she didn't want to, but because something would come up. Another meeting, another emergency, another reason why her life and his couldn't actually merge. Monday morning, Emma was cranky. They'd run out of her favorite cereal, the waffle maker sat unused on the counter, and everything felt slightly off-kilter. I miss her, Emma said at breakfast. I know. Do you miss her? Yeah, baby, I do. Then why didn't you ask her to stay? Because she had important work. We're important too. I know. Then why, Emma, please, I can't explain it right now. She went quiet, ate her subpar cereal in silence. Adrian felt like the worst father in the world. At work, Dave took one look at him and shook his head. She left, didn't she? She didn't leave. She went on a business trip. And you've already convinced yourself she's not coming back. I haven't. You have. It's all over your face. Can we not do this right now? When do you want to do it? After you've successfully sabotaged the best thing that's happened to you in years? You don't know what you're talking about, don't I? You've been different the past few weeks. Lighter. Like you remembered how to be happy, and now you're right back to this. To what? To expecting everyone to leave. Adrian's jaw tightened. People do leave. That's just reality. Some people, not all people. But if you keep pushing them away first, you'll never know the difference. Before Adrian could respond, his phone rang. Unknown number again. He answered, expecting another school emergency. Adrian Hale? Speaking. This is Dr. Chen from Singapore General Hospital. I'm calling about Victoria Lane. You're listed as her emergency contact. The world tilted. What happened? Ms. Lane was in a car accident approximately 2 hours ago. She's stable, but she sustained injuries that required surgery. She's asking for you. Adrian couldn't breathe. How bad? She has a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and a fractured wrist. She was lucky. The driver of the other vehicle walked away with minor injuries. Can I talk to her? She's in recovery right now, but she wanted us to call you immediately. Tell her... His voice cracked. Tell her I'm coming. He hung up and stood there, phone in hand, trying to process. Adrian? Dave's voice seemed far away. What happened? Victoria, car accident, Singapore. I need to go. I'll cover for you. Emma, I'll help figure it out. Just go. Adrian called Emma's school, explained the situation. They agreed to keep her in aftercare until he could arrange something. Then he called the one person he trusted. His sister lived 2 hours away, but she answered on the first ring. Melissa, I need a huge favor. 6 hours later, Adrian was on a plane to Singapore with a passport he'd barely used and a heart that wouldn't stop racing. Melissa had driven down to get Emma, who'd cried when he explained what happened. Is she going to be okay? Yeah, baby. She's going to be fine. You promise? I promise. Are you going to tell her you love her? The question stopped him. What? When you see her, are you going to tell her you love her? Because I think you should, before it's too late. Out of the mouths of children. The flight was 17 hours. Adrian didn't sleep, couldn't. He kept replaying the last conversation with Victoria, how he'd pulled away, how he'd let her leave thinking he didn't believe she'd come back. What if those were the last words they'd exchanged? What if he never got the chance to tell her what Emma already knew? That he loved her, that he'd probably never stopped. Singapore was hot and humid and overwhelming. Adrian barely noticed. He took a cab straight to the hospital, his brain running through worst-case scenarios the entire time. At the nurse's station, he gave Victoria's name. They directed him to a private room on the 4th floor. She was asleep when he walked in. Bandages on her head, cast on her wrist, monitors beeping steadily. She looked small in the hospital bed, fragile. Nothing like the confident CEO who'd shown up at his door 3 weeks ago. He sat down in the chair next to her bed and took her good hand. Hey, he said quietly, you really know how to get attention. Her eyes fluttered open. Adrian? Yeah, it's me. You came. Of course I came. But the flight, it's so expensive. I don't care about the flight. I care about you. The tears slipped down her cheeks. I was so scared. I know. Me too. Not about the accident, about you, about losing you before I even got you back. His throat tightened. You're not losing me. Promise? I promise. But you have to promise something too. What? Stop trying to do everything alone. Let people help. Let me help. I'm not good at that. I know, but you're going to learn. Because this? He gestured to the hospital room. This is what happens when you try to carry everything yourself. She laughed weakly. Is this your way of saying I told you so? No. This is my way of saying I love you, and I should have said it before you left, before the accident, before you thought for even a second that I didn't believe you were coming back. Victoria's grip on his hand tightened. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you, I love you. I'm an idiot who was too scared to say it, but I'm saying it now. I love you, Victoria Lane. She pulled him closer with her good arm. I love you too. I've loved you for 12 years, even when I was trying not to. He kissed her, gentle because of the injuries, deep because of everything they'd left unsaid. When they broke apart, she was crying again. What's wrong? Nothing. Everything. I almost died without telling you that all I want is your tiny kitchen and your daughter's questions and your terrible pancakes. My pancakes aren't terrible. They're a little terrible. Yeah, well, you're stuck with them now. Good. A nurse came in to check vitals and reminded Adrian that visiting hours would end soon. He nodded, but didn't move. How long until you can fly home? He asked Victoria. A few days, maybe a week. The doctors want to monitor the concussion. Then I'm staying. Adrian, you can't. I can. And I am. Emma's with my sister. Work can survive without me. You're not going through this alone. Oh, what about the Singapore deal? What about it? I have to salvage it. The investors can wait. Or your COO can handle it. Or it can fall apart. I don't care. You almost died, Victoria. Nothing else matters. She looked at him like he'd handed her something precious. No one's ever put me first before. Then everyone else was an idiot. Because you're worth putting first. Always. She fell asleep holding his hand. Adrian stayed in that uncomfortable chair all night, watching her breathe, grateful for every rise and fall of her chest. In the morning, Victoria's assistant showed up with an entire team. They'd rescheduled the investor meeting, arranged for the best specialists, set up a recovery suite at the hotel. Victoria managed it all from her hospital bed, and Adrian watched her slip back into CEO mode with a mix of admiration and concern. "You're supposed to be resting." "I am resting. I'm just also working." "That's not resting." "It's the best I can do." After the team left, Adrian sat on the edge of her bed. "I need to ask you something." "Okay." "When you get better and we go home, what happens next?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, you have a company to run, international deals, a life that doesn't fit in my 2-bedroom house. And I'm okay with that, but I need to know how this works." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. "I've been thinking about that. A lot. Especially in the last 2 hours when I thought I might die." "That's dramatic." "It's accurate. And what I realized is that I built something incredible, but I built it at the expense of everything else. My health, my relationships, any chance at a normal life." She paused. "I don't want to do that anymore." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm going to restructure, delegate more, trust my team to handle things I've been micromanaging. Maybe open that regional office in our city like I planned and actually stay there instead of flying around the world constantly." "Victoria, I know it sounds impulsive, but it's not. I've been thinking about this for months. The accident just made it clear that I don't have forever to figure out what matters. You can't give up your company for me." "I'm not giving it up. I'm changing how I run it. There's a difference." "Your investors won't like that." "My investors can deal with it. I own controlling interest. They don't get a vote." Adrian shook his head, but he was smiling. "You're terrifying when you're determined." "You like it. I really do." She pulled him down for another kiss, wincing slightly when she moved wrong. "Easy," he said. "You're still broken." "I'm aware, but you're worth the pain." That's the concussion talking. It's the truth talking. They stayed in Singapore for 4 days. Victoria got medical clearance to fly, and Adrian arranged first-class tickets with lie-flat seats because regular coach would have been torture for her ribs. The flight back was long and uncomfortable, but they made it. Melissa met them at the airport with Emma, who threw herself at Victoria with enough force to make her wince. "Easy, kiddo," Adrian said. "Sorry, I just missed you so much." "I missed you too," Victoria said, hugging her carefully. "Every single day." In the car, Emma sat between them in the back seat, holding both their hands. "Are you staying forever now?" she asked Victoria. Victoria looked at Adrian. He nodded. "Yeah," Victoria said. "I'm staying forever." "Good, because we need you. Dad's pancakes are terrible." "They're not terrible," Adrian protested. "They kind of are," Victoria agreed. "Traitor," Emma giggled. "Can we have waffles when we get home?" "We can have whatever you want," Victoria said. And for the first time in 12 years, Adrian let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, this was real. That she was staying, that they were building something that would last. That home wasn't a place. It was the three of them, together. The first week back was harder than Adrian expected. Victoria's ribs made sleeping difficult, which meant none of them slept well. She'd wake up gasping from nightmares about the accident, and Adrian would hold her until the shaking stopped. Emma started having bad dreams too, probably from the stress of almost losing someone she'd just gotten attached to. Some nights, all three of them ended up in Adrian's bed, tangled together in a way that was uncomfortable but necessary. "This is ridiculous," Victoria muttered one night, trying to find a position that didn't hurt. "I'm 30 years old. I shouldn't need someone to hold my hand while I sleep." "You got hit by a car," Adrian said. "You're allowed to need things." "I don't like needing things." "I know, but you're stuck with it anyway." Emma was already asleep between them, taking up more space than a 7-year-old should. Victoria looked at her, then at Adrian. "I'm not good at this," she admitted quietly. "At what?" "Being vulnerable. Letting people take care of me. All of it." "Yeah, I noticed." "Does it bother you?" "No. It makes you human." She laughed softly. "I've spent 12 years trying not to be human. Harder to get hurt that way." "How'd that work out?" "Terrible. Would not recommend." He kissed her forehead. "Go to sleep. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." But tomorrow brought its own complications. Victoria's company needed her attention. The Singapore deal had been salvaged by her COO, but barely, and there were fires to put out. She tried to handle everything from Adrian's couch with her laptop balanced on her knees, wincing every time she moved wrong. "You're supposed to be resting," Adrian said, bringing her coffee. "I am resting. I'm sitting down." "That's not what the doctor meant. The doctor doesn't run a multi-billion-dollar company. The doctor also wants you to heal." She looked up at him, frustrated. "I can't just stop, Adrian. People are counting on me." "Then delegate." "I am delegating. This is me delegating. You should see what I'm not doing." He sat down next to her. "Talk me through it. What's the actual crisis?" "The investors in Singapore want a face-to-face meeting to rebuild trust. My CFO is having a breakdown because the quarterly projections are off. And I have 3 different department heads fighting about budget allocations." "Okay. Can someone else meet it with the Singapore investors?" "They specifically asked for me." "Can you do it by video call?" "It's not the same." "But is it possible?" She hesitated. "Maybe." "And the CFO?" "Needs hand-holding and reassurance, which I can do remotely." "And the budget fight?" "That one actually requires me. Those 3 have hated each other for years. I'm the only one who can mediate." "Can you mediate from here?" "I could, but it would mean flying them all here, which seems excessive. Or it would mean you get to stay home and heal while still handling business." "Compromise." Victoria stared at him. "You're good at this." "At what?" "Problem solving without making me feel like I'm failing." "You're not failing. You're recovering from a car accident while trying to run a company. That's not failing. That's superhuman." She leaned against him carefully. "I'm really glad you're here." "Where else would I be?" "I don't know. At work? Living your normal life, not playing nurse to your high-maintenance ex-girlfriend." "You're not my ex-girlfriend." "What am I then?" Good question. They hadn't really defined it, hadn't had time between the accident and the recovery and Emma's needs. "You're the woman I love," Adrian said simply. "That's enough definition for now." Emma came home from school with a stack of get-well cards she'd made during art class. All of them featured Victoria in various states of injury, surrounded by hearts and dinosaurs. "This one's my favorite," Emma announced, holding up a drawing of Victoria with a cape and a cast. "You're a superhero who got hurt saving people." "I like that version of events," Victoria said, looking at the drawing with genuine emotion. "Much better than the truth." "What's the truth?" "That I wasn't paying attention and got hit by someone who ran a red light." "Well, that's boring. I like my version better." "Me too, kiddo. Me too." That night, after Emma was in bed, Victoria's assistant called with an update. The department heads had agreed to fly in next week for the budget meeting. The Singapore investors accepted a video call. The CFO had been talked off the ledge. Crisis temporarily managed. "See?" Adrian said. "Delegation works." "This isn't delegation. This is me controlling things from a different location." "Small steps." She smiled despite herself. "You're very patient with me." "I've had practice. 7-year-olds require patience." "I'm not 7. "No, but you're just as stubborn." She threw a pillow at him. He caught it and threw it back. They ended up in a gentle pillow fight that Victoria won by default because Adrian was terrified of hurting her ribs. "That's cheating," he said. "That's strategy. That's using your injuries for unfair advantage." "Whatever works." He pulled her close, careful of her injuries. "I miss this." "Pillow fights?" "No, just being with you, without it being complicated." "It's still complicated." "Yeah, but it's our complicated now." She kissed him, and it felt like the start of something, not a restart or a do-over, something entirely new built on old foundations. The next morning brought unexpected news. Victoria's lawyer called to inform her that the Singapore investors had made a formal offer to buy her company. All of it, for an obscene amount of money. She sat at the kitchen table, staring at her phone like it had betrayed her. "What's wrong?" Adrian asked. "They want to buy the company." "Who does?" "The Singapore group. They're offering $3.2 billion. Adrian sat down. "Billion with a B?" "Yes." "And that's good? Bad?" "I don't know." She looked lost. "It's everything I built, my entire adult life, and they want to buy it." "What do you want?" "I don't know that either." Emma appeared in the doorway. "Why does everyone look weird?" "We're not weird," Adrian said. We're thinking. About what? Grown-up stuff. I'm not stupid. I can tell something's wrong. Victoria gestured to the chair next to her. Come here. Emma climbed up. Victoria took a breath. I built a company, a business, and now some people want to buy it from me for a lot of money. How much? A lot. Like $100? More than that. 1,000? Keep going. Emma's eyes went wide as she did the math in her head. That's more money than exists. It feels like it, Victoria agreed. Are you going to sell it? I don't know. What do you think I should do? Emma considered this seriously. What would make you happy? That's the question, isn't it? Do you like your job? Most of the time. Do you like being here with us? All of the time. Then stay here. Sell the company. Be with us. Victoria laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. It's not that simple. Why not? Because the company employs thousands of people, and it does important work. I can't just walk away. Why not? You said people are counting on you, but aren't we people too? Adrian watched Victoria's face as Emma's words landed. You are, Victoria said quietly. You absolutely are. Later, after Emma left for school, Victoria and Adrian sat in the backyard. The morning was cool, and Victoria had wrapped herself in one of Adrian's old hoodies that was too big for her. She's right, you know, Victoria said. Emma's right about most things. It's unsettling. I keep thinking I need to choose the company or this, but maybe I don't. What do you mean? What if I sell, take the money, use it to fund new projects that I actually care about, spend more time here, be present instead of constantly putting out fires? That's a big decision. I know. And I think I want to do it. She looked at him. But I need to know you're okay with it. Why wouldn't I be? Because if I sell, I'm going to be here. All the time. In your space. Part of your life in a way that's permanent and unavoidable. And that's a lot. Adrian took her hand. I want you here. All the time. Permanently and unavoidably. Even when I'm difficult? Especially then. Even when I wake up from nightmares and need you to tell me the accident wasn't my fault? Every single time. Even when I try to micromanage breakfast? Your crepes are better than my pancakes, I can admit that. She laughed and cried at the same time. I want to say yes to the sale, to staying, to all of it. Then say yes. What if I regret it? Then we'll figure it out. Together. Like everything else. Victoria called her lawyer that afternoon and started the process. The sale would take months to finalize, due diligence, negotiations, regulatory approval. But the decision was made. That night, she told Emma, I'm selling my company. Emma looked up from her homework. Really? Really? So you're staying? I'm staying. Emma launched herself at Victoria, who caught her carefully, mindful of her ribs. This is the best day ever. Better than your birthday? Way better. Birthdays happen every year. You only stay forever once. Adrian watched from the doorway and felt something settle in his chest, like pieces clicking into place. The next few weeks were chaos of the best kind. Victoria's department heads flew in for meetings that happened at Adrian's kitchen table because Victoria refused to rent office space for temporary use. 3 serious business people in expensive suits crowded around mismatched chairs, arguing about budgets while Emma did homework and occasionally offered opinions. I think marketing should get more money, Emma said during one particularly heated discussion. Why's that? Victoria's CMO asked, amused. Because nobody knows about stuff if you don't tell them, and telling people costs money. The CMO looked at Victoria. I like her. Can we hire her? She's 7, Adrian said. She's got better instincts than half my team. Victoria's recovery was slow. Physical therapy for her wrist, pain management for her ribs, therapy for the trauma of the accident. She hated all of it, but showed up anyway because Adrian and Emma wouldn't let her quit. I don't need therapy, Victoria insisted after her first session. Everyone needs therapy, Adrian said. I'm fine. You had nightmares 4 times this week. That's normal after an accident. And therapy will help make them stop. Or I could just power through. Or you could actually deal with the trauma instead of pretending it doesn't exist. She glared at him. I hate when you're right. Get used to it. I'm right a lot. That's debatable. But she kept going to therapy. And slowly, the nightmares decreased. 2 months after the accident, Victoria's cast came off. She celebrated by making elaborate crepes that required both hands and involved more steps than seemed necessary for breakfast food. This is excessive, Adrian said, watching her flip. This is art. This is showing off. Can it be both? Emma was entranced. Can I try? Absolutely. They spent the morning making crepes in various states of success. Some were perfect. Some were disasters. All of them were eaten because Emma declared that even broken crepes were delicious. We should do this every weekend, Emma announced. Every weekend might be excessive, Adrian said. Dad doesn't like fun, Emma told Victoria. I like fun. I just also like variety. Variety is overrated, Victoria said, grinning at him. They'd fallen into a rhythm. Victoria still worked, but differently. From home, mostly. With boundaries. She took weekends off. Actually off, not pretending to be off, while checking email constantly. She showed up for Emma's school events, helped with homework, learned the names of all Emma's friends and their various dramas. She was present in a way Adrian hadn't expected, in a way that made him realize how much he'd been bracing for her to leave. 3 months in, Emma asked the question Adrian had been avoiding. Is Miss Victoria going to live here forever? They were doing dishes, Adrian washing, Emma drying, Victoria putting away. I don't know, Em. We haven't really talked about it. Why not? Because it's complicated. Emma made a face. Everything's complicated with you guys. She's not wrong, Victoria said. Adrian shot her a look. Not helping. I'm just saying, Emma has a point. We should probably talk about logistics. Logistics? Where I'm living, what that looks like, how we make this work long term. I thought you were staying. I am, but I can't live in a hotel forever, and your place only has 2 bedrooms. She was right. They'd been avoiding the conversation because it felt too big, too permanent, too much like admitting this was real. I could get my own place, Victoria offered. Nearby, so I'm close but not in the way. You're not in the way, Emma said immediately. What about you? Victoria asked Adrian. Do you want me in the way? He set down the dish he was washing. Yes, I want you in the way. I want you here, but I also don't know how to make that work. This house is barely big enough for Emma and me. So we get a bigger house. With what money? With my money. I'm not taking your money. Our money. If we're doing this, it's our money. That's not... Yes, it is. That's how this works. We're a team. Teams share resources. I can't just let you buy us a house. Why not? Because it's too much. According to who? According to basic relationship dynamics. Victoria turned to Emma. Is your dad always this stubborn? Always, Emma confirmed. What if it's not a gift? Victoria said. What if we buy it together? You contribute what you can, I contribute what I can, and we make it work. That's still mostly your money. So, why does that matter? Because I should be able to provide for my family. You do provide. You provide stability and love and presence. That's worth more than money. That's easy to say when you have money. It's true, regardless of money. She stepped closer. I'm not trying to take over your life, Adrian. I'm trying to build one with you. And if that means I contribute more financially, so be it. You contribute in other ways. Emma tugged on his shirt. Dad, let her buy us a house. I want my own room. You have your own room. A bigger one with space for all my dinosaurs. Adrian looked at Victoria. You're ganging up on me. Is it working? Maybe. That's progress. They started house hunting the following week, which was its own kind of chaos. Victoria wanted something modern with clean lines and smart home technology. Adrian wanted something practical with a yard and good schools nearby. Emma wanted a house with a tower like a castle. Castles don't have towers, Adrian said. Towers are part of castles. Then I want a castle. We're not buying a castle. Why not? Miss Victoria has money. Miss Victoria's money is not infinite. It kind of is, Victoria said, not helping. They looked at 15 houses, too small, too big Too expensive even for Victoria. Wrong neighborhood. Terrible schools. No yard. Too much yard. On the 16th house, Emma ran straight to the backyard and declared it perfect. There was a tree with branches perfect for climbing, a flat area perfect for cardboard cities, and a covered patio that would work for outdoor breakfasts. This is it, Emma announced. Adrian looked at the house. It was bigger than he'd imagined living in. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a kitchen that could actually fit all of them without bumping elbows. It was also expensive. It's too much, he said. It's perfect, Victoria countered. The mortgage alone? I'm buying it outright. Absolutely not. Adrian, I'm selling my company for over $3 billion. I can afford to buy a house without a mortgage. That's not the point. Then what is the point? He didn't have a good answer. Just a feeling that accepting this meant accepting how different their financial situations were, that he'd never be able to match what she brought to the table. Victoria took his hand. I know what you're thinking, and you're wrong. You don't know what I'm thinking. You're thinking that this proves you're not enough, that you can't provide the way you should, that accepting my help means you're failing. She was right. He hated that she was right. But here's the thing, she continued. You've been providing for Emma alone for years. You've built a beautiful life for her, and now you're letting me be part of that. That's not failing. That's succeeding at something most people never manage, which is letting someone love you, really love you, completely. Emma was watching them from the tree. Are we getting the house or not? Adrian looked at Victoria, at the house, at the yard where Emma was already planning her cardboard empire. Yeah, he said. We're getting the house. Emma cheered. Victoria kissed him, and Adrian tried to quiet the voice in his head that said this was too good to last. The sale of Victoria's company was finalized 4 weeks before they closed on the house. The final number was $3.4 billion after negotiations. Victoria kept a small percentage of equity but was essentially out. She threw up twice the morning she signed the papers. I'm fine, she insisted, pale and shaking. You're not fine, Adrian said. I'm just nervous. You're terrified. Same thing. He held her while she cried. 12 years of work signed away in an afternoon. It was the right choice. She knew it was the right choice, but knowing it and feeling it were different things. What if I made a mistake? She whispered. Then we'll figure it out. What if I regret it? Then we'll deal with that too. What if I'm terrible at being a normal person? You're already terrible at it. That's not new. She laughed despite the tears. I hate you. No, you don't. I really, really don't. The money hit her account 3 days later, an amount so large it didn't feel real. Victoria stared at her phone, then at Adrian. It's done. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, excited, like I might throw up again. All valid. I have no idea what to do with myself now. You could start by breathing. Breathing is overrated. Emma came home from school and found them sitting on the floor of the empty living room. They'd already packed most of their things for the move. Why are you on the floor? We're having a moment, Adrian said. What kind of moment? The kind where we realize everything's changing and we're scared but also happy. Emma sat down between them. Are we still a family? Yes, they said together. Then nothing's really changing. We're just doing it in a bigger house. Out of the mouths of children. They moved 2 weeks later. Professional movers handled everything, which felt excessive to Adrian but was apparently normal for Victoria. Emma got the bedroom with the best tree view. Adrian and Victoria took the master suite, and the 4th bedroom became what Emma called the thinking room because it was quiet and had good light. What do people think about in thinking rooms? Emma asked. Important stuff, Victoria said. Like what? Like how much we love you. That's corny. It's true. Still corny. Plus, that night, their first in the new house, they ordered pizza because none of them had the energy to cook. They ate on the floor of the living room because the furniture hadn't been delivered yet. Emma fell asleep between them, exhausted from exploring every corner of her new home. She's out, Adrian whispered. She had a big day. We all did. Victoria leaned against him. Are you happy? Yeah, terrified but happy. Same. We're doing this. Actually doing this. Yep. No going back now. Would you want to? He looked around the empty room. at their sleeping daughter, at the woman he'd never stopped loving. Not even a little bit. Victoria smiled. Good, because I have something to ask you. Okay. She pulled a small box from her pocket. Adrian's heart stopped. Victoria. Wait, let me say this. She opened the box. Inside was a simple silver band. I know this is backwards. I know traditionally the man asks. But I've never been traditional, and I'm too impatient to wait for you to get around to it. I was going to... I know, but I'm asking first. Adrian Hale, will you marry me? Will you let me be part of this family officially? Will you take a chance on the woman who broke your heart 12 years ago and has spent the last 4 months trying to prove she's worth a second chance? He couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel. Yes. Yes? Yes, absolutely yes.
Yes.
She slipped the ring on his finger. It fit perfectly. I have one condition, he said. What's that? Emma has to be okay with it. Already asked her. She said, and I quote, finally, took you long enough. Adrian laughed. She knew before we did. Kids always do. He kissed her, properly this time. No holding back, no fear, just love and commitment and the certainty that this was exactly where he was supposed to be. When they broke apart, Emma was awake and grinning. Told you she'd say yes. I said yes, Adrian corrected. Same thing. Are we getting married? We are, Victoria confirmed. Can I be the flower girl? You can be whatever you want. I want to be the one who brings the rings. That's the ring bearer. Then that. Deal. Emma snuggled between them again. This is the best day ever. Better than when we got the house? Adrian asked. Way better. Now we're really a family. And they were. Finally. Completely. Imperfectly and beautifully and exactly as they were meant to be. Planning a wedding turned out to be more complicated than closing a billion-dollar deal, according to Victoria. She said this approximately 40 times in the first week alone. It's just a party, Adrian said, watching her stress over invitation fonts. It's not just a party, it's a statement about who we are. We're people who love each other, that's the statement. But what kind of people? Classic, modern, rustic? Normal people who don't overthink fonts. But she threw a sample invitation at him. You're not taking this seriously. I'm taking us seriously. The wedding is just the party. Emma walked in eating an apple. You guys are fighting about the wedding again. We're not fighting, Victoria said. You're using your fight voice. I don't have a fight voice. You kind of do, Adrian agreed. Victoria looked between them. I'm being ganged up on in my own house. Our house, Adrian corrected. Fine, our house. Where I'm being ganged up on. Emma climbed onto the couch next to her. Why are you so worried about the wedding? Because I want it to be perfect. Why? Good question. Victoria set down the invitation samples. Because this is my one chance to get it right. I messed up 12 years ago. I don't want to mess this up too. The wedding isn't the marriage, Emma said. Adrian stared at his daughter. Where did you learn that? My teacher got married last year. She said the wedding was one day, but the marriage is forever. So the forever part matters more. Victoria pulled Emma into a hug. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You guys just notice sometimes. They ended up with a small ceremony, just family and close friends. Dave got an invitation, which he accepted with a speech about how he knew Adrian would eventually stop being an idiot. Victoria's parents flew in from the East Coast, looking slightly stunned that their daughter had not only gotten engaged, but was marrying a single father in a house she'd bought without consulting them. This is very sudden, Victoria's mother said at dinner the night before the wedding. It's been 12 years in the making, Victoria replied. You know what I mean, the engagement, the house, all of it. I know exactly what you mean, and I'm telling you it's not sudden, it's overdue. Her father studied Adrian across the table. You make her happy? I try to. That's not what I asked. Yes, sir, I think I do. You think or you know? I know. Victoria's father nodded once. Good enough. Adrian's sister Melissa was easier. She showed up with wine and stories about Emma's week with her during the Singapore crisis. She talked about Victoria non-stop, Melissa told Adrian while they set up chairs in the backyard. I was worried she was getting too attached. She was already attached. And now? Now she calls Victoria Mom when she thinks we're not listening. Melissa stopped arranging chairs. How do you feel about that? Terrified. Grateful. Both. Does Victoria know? Not yet. Emma's still testing it out. You should tell her. I will, after the wedding. Don't want to overwhelm her. Melissa laughed. She sold $1 billion company and bought you a house. I think she can handle Emma calling her mom. The wedding was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Small ceremony in the backyard, reception in the same space. 40 people maximum. String lights and simple flowers. Nothing fancy because Victoria had finally accepted that fancy wasn't them. Friday night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He stood in the kitchen at 2 a.m., making tea he didn't want, when Victoria appeared. You're awake, she said. So are you. Nervous. Me too. They sat at the table in comfortable silence. After a moment, Victoria spoke. What if I'm bad at this? At what? Being a wife, a stepmom, all of it. You're already doing both. The wedding just makes it official. But what if the official part changes things? It won't. How do you know? Because we've already been living it. The hard part isn't the commitment. It's showing up every day. And you've been doing that. She took his hand. I'm scared I'll disappoint you. You won't. I disappointed you before. We were kids. We're not kids anymore. I still feel like I'm making it up as I go. Everyone is. That's the secret. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just trying not to screw it up too badly. She laughed softly. That's comforting and terrifying. Welcome to adulthood. Emma appeared in the doorway, dragging her blanket. Why is everyone awake? Couldn't sleep, Adrian said. Me neither. Too excited. She climbed into Victoria's lap, and they sat like that for a while. 3 people who'd found each other through a combination of chance and choice and sheer stubborn refusal to give up. Can I tell you guys something? Emma asked. Always, Victoria said. I'm glad you came back. I know you were here before I was born, but I'm glad you came back now, when I could meet you. Victoria's eyes filled. Me too, baby. And I'm glad you're marrying my dad, even though he's kind of boring sometimes. Hey, Adrian protested. You are. It's okay. Miss Victoria is boring sometimes too. I'm not boring, Victoria said. You spent an hour yesterday looking at napkin colors. That's not boring. That's attention to detail. It's a little boring. They put Emma back to bed and returned to their room. Victoria curled against Adrian's side. She's going to steal the show tomorrow, Victoria said. She steals every show. Think she'll actually manage to carry the rings without dropping them? 50-50 odds. That's generous. He kissed her forehead. Go to sleep. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow's just the beginning. That's the point. Saturday morning arrived with chaos. Emma spilled juice on her dress. Victoria's hair wouldn't cooperate. Adrian couldn't find his other shoe. Dave showed up early and immediately started rearranging chairs because apparently Adrian had done it wrong. I had them in rows, Adrian said. These are crooked rows. I'm making them straight rows. They were fine. They were crooked. Victoria appeared on the back porch in her dress, and everyone stopped arguing. She wasn't wearing white. Instead, she'd chosen a simple cream dress that moved when she walked. Her hair was down, finally cooperating. She looked nervous and beautiful and exactly like herself. Too much? She asked. Perfect, Adrian said. Emma ran up with the ring pillow. I practiced. Watch. She walked in a careful straight line, concentrating so hard her tongue stuck out slightly. The ring stayed off the pillow. Barely. See? I'm ready. You're ready, Victoria confirmed. The ceremony was scheduled for 4. By 3:30, everyone had arrived. Melissa handled last-minute coordination. Dave had somehow appointed himself unofficial photographer despite having no photography skills. Emma practiced her walk 17 more times. Adrian stood under the arch they'd set up and watched guests find their seats. It was smaller than he'd imagined, more intimate. He saw his boss from work, looking uncomfortable in a suit. Victoria's assistant, who'd flown in just for this, a few of Emma's teachers, the people who mattered. The music started. Emma walked down the makeshift aisle with intense concentration, successfully delivering the rings without incident. She took her place next to Adrian and whispered, "I did it." "You did it," he confirmed. Then Victoria appeared. She walked alone because she'd insisted she didn't need anyone to give her away. She was giving herself, which felt more honest. Her eyes found Adrian's and everything else disappeared. The officiant was a friend of Victoria's who'd gotten certified online specifically for this. The ceremony was short, simple vows they'd written themselves. Victoria went first. "I spent 12 years building a life that looked successful from the outside. And it was successful. By every measure, I'd won. But I was lonely. And I didn't even realize how lonely until I saw you again. You reminded me what it feels like to be known. Really known. Not the CEO version or the public version, just me. And you loved me anyway." She paused, collecting herself. "I promise to show up every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I promise to choose you and Emma over every deal and opportunity and shiny thing that tries to pull me away. I promise to build a life with you that's measured in moments, not money. And I promise to make really good crepes." People laughed, Emma loudest of all. Adrian took a breath. "I spent 6 years convinced I was better off alone, safer, less likely to get hurt. And then you showed up in my kitchen and proved me wrong about everything. You showed me that being safe isn't the same as being happy, that letting someone in is terrifying but worth it, that family isn't about perfection, it's about showing up. You've shown up every day since you came back, for me, for Emma, for us." His voice cracked slightly. "I promise to trust you. Even when I'm scared, I promise to let you love us. All of us, messy and complicated as we are. I promise to make terrible pancakes and let you fix them. And I promise that when you wake up from nightmares, I'll be there to remind you you're safe." Victoria was crying. Adrian was crying. Emma handed them both tissues. "You're both very emotional," she whispered loudly. The officiant smiled. "By the power vested in me by the internet, I now pronounce you married. You may kiss." Adrian pulled Victoria close and kissed her like he'd wanted to for months, like he'd wanted to for 12 years. She kissed him back, and somewhere in the distance, people applauded. When they broke apart, Emma was between them, hugging both their legs. "We're married now," she announced to the crowd. "All 3 of us." The reception was casual. Food trucks instead of catering, a playlist instead of a band, lawn games instead of formal dancing. Victoria's parents looked scandalized. Everyone else looked relieved. "This is very unconventional," Victoria's mother said. "That's kind of our thing," Victoria replied, watching Adrian teach Emma how to throw horseshoes. "You're happy?" "Incredibly. Even without the big wedding, the venue, the planning. Especially without it. This is us, real and simple and exactly what we wanted." Her mother was quiet for a moment. "I worried about you. All those years building your company. You seemed so driven, but so alone." "I was alone. I just didn't let myself feel it." "And now?" "Now I'm terrified and happy and more myself than I've ever been." "That's all I wanted for you." They hugged, and Victoria felt something settle. Her parents might not understand her choices, but they were trying. That was enough. As the sun set, someone started a fire in the pit they'd set up. People gathered around with drinks and stories. Emma fell asleep on a blanket, surrounded by adults who'd promised to watch her. Victoria and Adrian sat slightly apart from the group, watching the flames. "We did it," Victoria said. "We did. How do you feel?" "Married." "That's it? Just married? What else is there?" "I don't know. Different, changed?" Adrian considered this. "I feel like we've been married for months. The ceremony just made it official." "Same. Is that weird?" "Maybe. But it's true." Dave wandered over with a beer. "Congratulations, man." "Thanks. You know, I never thought you'd do it. Get over the fear. Let someone in." "It wasn't about getting over fear. It was about deciding someone was worth being scared for." Dave raised his beer. "That's actually profound. Did you rehearse that?" "Little bit." "Thought so." After Dave left, Victoria leaned against Adrian's shoulder. "What happens now?" "What do you mean?" I sold my company, married you, moved into a house. What's next? I don't know. Normal life? What's normal life look like? Breakfast, school drop-offs, work, dinner, homework, repeat. That's it? Sometimes there are soccer games or school plays, occasional vacations if we save up. Victoria was quiet. That sounds perfect. Really? Really. I spent 12 years chasing exceptional. Turns out ordinary is better. 2 months after the wedding, Victoria started getting restless. Not in a bad way, just restless. She'd wake up early and go for runs. Reorganize closets that didn't need reorganizing. Deep clean rooms that were already clean. You're spiraling, Adrian said one morning. I'm not spiraling, I'm productive. You cleaned the garage at 6 a.m., that's spiraling. Maybe I like a clean garage. Maybe you miss working. She stopped scrubbing the already clean counter. I don't miss the pressure, or the constant travel, or the board meetings, but you miss having a purpose. I have a purpose. I'm a wife, a stepmom. You can be those things and still have work that matters to you. She sat down. I don't know what that looks like anymore. Then figure it out. You have the time, and the money, and the freedom. Use it. It took 3 weeks of thinking before Victoria came to Adrian with an idea. What if I started a foundation? For what? Sustainable development. Green technology for schools and community centers. The stuff I actually care about without the pressure of shareholders and quarterly reports. That sounds perfect. Really? Really, you were good at running a company. Imagine what you could do when profit isn't the only goal. She kissed him. Have I mentioned I love you? Not in the last hour. I love you. Love you too. Now go change the world. Just be home for dinner. The foundation launched 6 months later, small at first. Just Victoria and 2 staff members working out of a rented office. They funded green energy projects in underserved schools, helped community centers reduce their carbon footprint. Nothing flashy, just meaningful work that made a difference. Victoria came home energized instead of exhausted. She talked about projects over dinner, asked Emma about her school's recycling program, and actually listened to the answer. She'd found balance in a way she never had before. I was doing it wrong before, she told Adrian one night. Doing what wrong? Work, life, all of it. I thought success meant doing everything at maximum intensity, but that just meant I was exhausted all the time. And now? Now I work hard on things that matter, and I come home to people I love. It's not complicated. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. There's a difference. Emma turned 8. They threw a party in the backyard with her entire class, and way too much sugar. Victoria made a dinosaur-shaped cake that was more ambitious than successful. It's supposed to be a T-Rex, she explained. It looks like a blob with teeth, Emma said. A dinosaur blob with teeth. Still a blob. They ate the blob cake anyway. It tasted better than it looked. That night, after everyone left and Emma was asleep, Adrian found Victoria cleaning up the backyard. Leave it, he said. We'll get it tomorrow. I'm almost done. Victoria, leave it. She set down the trash bag. I wanted it to be perfect. It was perfect, dinosaur blob and all. She didn't even care that the cake looked weird, because she cared that you made it, that you tried, that you were here. Victoria sat on the porch steps. Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life. Good can't believe or bad can't believe? Good. Definitely good. I just keep waiting for something to go wrong. Something will go wrong. Lots of things will. That's life. Comforting. I'm serious. Things will go wrong. We'll fight. Emma will hit her teenage years and hate us both. Money will get tight. Life will happen. But we'll handle it. Together. You're sure? I'm sure. She leaned against him. I love you. I know. Did you just Han Solo me? Maybe. She laughed. Nerd. You married me anyway. Best decision I ever made. A year after the wedding, Emma came home from school with a form. We're doing family trees, she announced. I need help. Adrian and Victoria exchanged glances. Okay, Adrian said carefully. What kind of help? I need to know who goes where. Like, is Victoria my stepmom or should I put something else? Victoria's breath caught. What do you want to put? Emma shrugged, suddenly shy. I don't know. What am I supposed to put? There's no supposed to. You put what feels right. What feels right is putting you as my mom. But I don't know if that's okay, because you didn't give birth to me or anything. Victoria knelt down to Emma's level. Can I tell you something? Yeah. Being a mom isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about caring and loving and being there when it matters. And if you want to put me as your mom on that tree, I would be honored. More than honored. It would be the best thing anyone's ever called me. Emma's eyes welled up. Really? Really? Even though I call you Victoria sometimes? You can call me whatever you want. Victoria, Mom, hey you. As long as I get to be part of your life, I don't care what the title is. Emma hugged her fiercely. Can I try calling you Mom, just to see how it feels? Absolutely. Okay. Mom. Victoria started crying. Adrian was already crying. Emma looked between them. You guys cry a lot. We're emotional people, Adrian said. It's embarrassing. You'll understand when you're older. That's what you always say, because it's always true. That night, after Emma went to bed, Adrian found Victoria sitting in the thinking room, holding Emma's family tree draft. You okay? He asked. She called me Mom. I heard. I never thought I'd get to be someone's mom. I made choices that seemed to close that door. Doors reopen, if you're willing to walk through them. I'm so grateful I walked through this one. He sat next to her. So am I. They sat in comfortable silence, looking at Emma's careful handwriting. Adrian Hale, Victoria Lane Hale, Emma Hale. A family tree that didn't look like anyone else's but was perfect for them. 2 years after the wedding, Victoria's foundation had grown. They'd funded projects in 40 schools and 15 community centers. The work was meaningful, the impact measurable. Victoria was proud in a way she'd never been proud of quarterly earnings. But the best part was the balance. She coached Emma's soccer team despite knowing nothing about soccer, showed up to parent-teacher conferences and school fundraisers, had dinner with Adrian every night unless something truly urgent came up. And it rarely came up because she'd built a team she trusted and boundaries she maintained. I don't know how you do it, one of the other soccer moms said after practice. Running a foundation and still making it to every game. I just decided what mattered, Victoria said, watching Emma practice dribbling, and I built my life around that instead of the other way around. That's simple? That's simple. Not easy, but simple. At home that evening, Adrian was making dinner while Emma did homework at the kitchen table. Their kitchen table. In their house. With their life happening around them. Victoria stopped in the doorway and just watched. You're doing it again, Adrian said without turning around. Doing what? That thing where you stare at us like you're memorizing the moment. Maybe I am. He turned around. Why? Because I spent so long chasing a future that I forgot to appreciate the present. I don't want to make that mistake again. Emma looked up from her homework. That's deep, Mom. Thank you. Also kind of corny. Can it be both? I guess. They ate dinner together, talked about Emma's day, Victoria's foundation project, Adrian's work drama with a new inventory system that nobody understood. Normal, ordinary, beautiful conversation. After Emma went to bed, Adrian and Victoria cleaned up in their usual rhythm. He washed, she dried. They talked about nothing important. Do you ever miss it? Adrian asked. The old life, the power, the empire. Sometimes I miss the certainty of it. The clear metrics, win or lose, profit or loss. And then I come home to you and Emma, and I remember that the best things in life don't have metrics. You can't measure love or happiness or belonging. You just feel it. That's the corniest thing you've ever said. Emma's rubbing off on me. Clearly. He pulled her close. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. Not there. Me too. Every single day. 3 years after the wedding, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, Adrian woke up to the smell of crepes. He found Victoria and Emma in the kitchen, cooking together with the ease of long practice. Morning, Victoria said, flipping a crepe perfectly. Morning, he replied, kissing her before grabbing coffee. Dad, we're making the fancy ones, Emma announced. She was 10 now, tall enough to reach the stove without a step stool. What makes them fancy? Nutella and strawberries. That does sound fancy. They ate breakfast together, discussed Emma's upcoming science fair project, argued about whether dinosaurs could have survived if they'd developed better communication skills. Normal morning chaos. As Adrian drove Emma to school, she was quieter than usual. You okay, kiddo? Yeah, just thinking. About what? About how lucky I am. His chest tightened. Yeah? Yeah, my friend Sarah's parents are getting divorced, and Jacob's dad is always traveling for work. And most kids don't have parents who actually like each other. We like each other. I know. That's what makes me lucky. He pulled up to the school. For what it's worth, we're the lucky ones. We got you. She grinned. I know, but it's nice to hear anyway. She hopped out, waved, and ran to meet her friends. Adrian watched until she disappeared into the building, then drove to work thinking about luck and choice and how sometimes they're the same thing. That evening, Victoria came home from the foundation with news. We got the grant. Which grant? The big one. Federal funding for nationwide expansion. Adrian set down his book. That's huge. It is. We can help hundreds of schools now, maybe thousands. How do you feel? She sat next to him. Proud, excited, a little scared. Of what? Of it getting too big again, of losing myself in the work. You won't. How do you know? Because you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You know your limits now, and you have people who will call you out if you cross them. You'll call me out? Emma and I both will, loudly and repeatedly. She laughed. Good, I'm counting on it. The foundation expanded. Victoria hired more staff, delegated responsibilities, and maintained boundaries that would have been impossible for her younger self. She traveled occasionally, but never for more than a few days. She took weekends off religiously. She made it to Emma's soccer games and school events. She'd learned that success wasn't about doing everything. It was about doing the right things. On their 5th anniversary, Adrian and Victoria took Emma on a trip. Nothing fancy, just a cabin by a lake where they could disconnect and be together. Emma spent the days exploring. Victoria and Adrian spent them talking, reading, existing without agenda. 5 years, Victoria said one evening while they sat on the dock watching the sunset. 5 years, Adrian agreed. Feels longer. In a good way? In the best way. Like we've always been this. We have been. We just took a 12-year detour. She leaned against him. Worth it? The detour or the destination? Both. He thought about it. About the years apart. The growth they'd needed, the people they'd become. Yeah, worth it. We weren't ready before. We would have imploded. And now? Now we're still a mess. But we're a mess that works. That's romantic. It's honest. I like honest. Emma came running up the dock, wet from swimming. There are frogs. Like hundreds of them. 100 seems excessive, Adrian said. Okay, maybe 10. But they're everywhere. She dragged them to see the frogs, which were indeed everywhere. They spent an hour catching and releasing them while Emma provided running commentary on frog society and politics. Later, after Emma was asleep in the cabin, Victoria and Adrian sat by the fire. This is nice, she said. Yeah, we should do it more often. We should. But we won't. Probably not. Life gets busy. I hate that. Me too, but we'll try. That's all we can do. She turned to face him. I need to tell you something. Okay. I've been thinking about something, and I want to know how you'd feel about it. About what? Adopting Emma. Officially. Legally. Adrian's heart stopped. Really? Really? I know I'm already her stepmom, and she calls me mom, but I want it to be official. I want her to be mine in every possible way. Victorious, I know it's a lot, and if you're not ready, I understand. But I needed to ask. He pulled her close. Yes, absolutely yes. Emma would be thrilled. You think so? I know so. They told Emma the next morning over pancakes. She cried happy tears, which made Victoria cry, which made Adrian cry, and they all agreed they were the most emotional family in existence. The adoption process took 6 months. paperwork and court dates and official proceedings that made their family legally binding. When the judge signed the final papers, Emma jumped up and hugged Victoria. "Now you're really my mom." "I was already really your mom." "I know, but now it's official official." Official official is the best kind of official. They celebrated with ice cream and a quiet evening at home. No big party, just the three of them, exactly as they were meant to be. That night, Victoria found Adrian in the thinking room. "Hey," she said. "Hey, what you thinking about?" "How we got here. All the choices and chances and random moments that led to this. Regret any of it? Not even the painful parts. They made us who we are." She sat next to him. "I used to think my biggest accomplishment was building a billion-dollar company. And now? Now I know it's this, us, Emma, building a life that matters." "That's definitely corny." "I'm okay with corny." "Good, because you're stuck with it." Years passed. Emma grew. The foundation flourished. Adrian got promoted at work, which came with better pay and more responsibility. Victoria kept coaching soccer despite still not understanding offsides. They fought sometimes, about small things and occasionally big things, but they always worked through it. They weren't perfect, far from it, but they were present, committed, willing to show up even when it was hard. Emma graduated middle school, then high school, started talking about colleges and futures. Victoria and Adrian watched her grow and felt the bittersweet ache of time passing. "She's leaving soon," Victoria said one evening. "Not for another year." "Still, she's leaving." "That's the point. We raised them to leave." "I know, but I don't like it." "Me neither." Emma walked in. "Why do you guys look sad?" "We're not sad," Adrian said. "You're making sad faces." "We're just thinking about how fast you grew up." She rolled her eyes. "You're being emotional again." "It's our thing. It's embarrassing. You love it." "Maybe a little." She sat between them on the couch, not quite the little girl who used to fit perfectly, but still their daughter in every way that mattered. "Can I ask you guys something?" she said. "Always. Do you think things worked out the way they were supposed to?" Victoria and Adrian exchanged glances. "What do you mean?" Adrian asked. "Like, you guys were together when you were young, then you weren't, then you were again. Do you think it happened the way it was supposed to, or do you wish it had been different?" Victoria thought about this carefully. "I think we got the timing we needed, not the timing we wanted. We weren't ready before. We had growing to do separately. But you're ready now. We're better now. Not perfect, but better." Emma nodded. "Good. Because I like this version of us." "Us too, baby," Adrian said. "Us too." Time kept moving. Emma went to college, came home for breaks, started building her own life while staying connected to theirs. The house felt emptier without her constant presence. But it was the good kind of empty, the kind that meant they'd done their job. Victoria and Adrian adjusted to being just the two of them again. It was strange at first. They'd spent so long being a family of three that being a couple felt both familiar and new. "What do we do now?" Victoria asked one Saturday morning when they had no school events or soccer games or homework to supervise. "Whatever we want." "That's a lot of options." "It is." They ended up making elaborate breakfast and eating it slowly, talking without interruption, remembering what it was like to just be them. "I miss this," Victoria said. "We did it yesterday." "I know, but I'd forgotten what it was like before Emma, when it was just us." "Different now, though." "How?" "We're different, better, more ourselves." She smiled. "I like us better, too." On what would have been their 10th anniversary, they renewed their vows. Small ceremony in the same backyard where they'd gotten married. Emma was there, home from college. A few close friends, simple and perfect. "I promise," Victoria said, "to keep choosing you every single day. In the boring moments and the hard ones, when you're being stubborn and when I'm being impossible. I promise to build a life with you that's measured in moments, not achievements. And I promise to never stop being grateful that you gave me a second chance." Adrian took her hands. "I promise to keep trusting you, to keep letting you in, even when I'm scared. I promise to love you through every version of yourself. The CEO and the coach and the mom and the woman who still can't make pancakes as good as mine. Your pancakes are terrible. I know, but you love me anyway. I really do. They kissed, and Emma cheered, and the small group of people who'd watched them build this life together celebrated the fact that sometimes second chances work out exactly as they're supposed to. Later, after everyone left, Victoria and Adrian sat in their backyard under the lights they'd strung up years ago. 10 years, she said. 15 if you count the beginning. Should we count it? I think so. It's all part of the story. Even the painful parts? Especially those. They made this possible. She leaned against him. I spent so long thinking I had to choose. Career or love, success or family. Turned out it wasn't about choosing, it was about integrating. That's very wise. I have my moments. You do. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the lights flicker against the dark. You know what I realized? Victoria said. What? I spent 12 years trying to prove I was enough, building companies, making money, achieving things. But the whole time, I already was enough. I just needed to believe it. And now? Now I know. Not because of what I've done. Because of who I am, and who I get to be with you and Emma. Adrian pulled her closer. You were always enough, even when you didn't believe it. I know that now. Good. They stayed there until the air got too cold and the lights started dimming. Then they went inside to the house they'd built, the life they'd created, the love they'd chosen. Because that's what it came down to, really. Not fate or destiny or perfect timing, just choice. The choice to show up, to try again. To believe that broken things could be repaired and lost things could be found, and second chances were worth taking. They'd chosen each other, not once, but over and over, every morning, every fight, every moment of doubt and fear and uncertainty. And that choice, repeated daily, had built something stronger than either of them could have created alone. A family, a life, a love that had survived time and distance and their own worst instincts. Not because it was easy, but because it mattered. And in the end, that was the only measure that counted.